If you're a designer, there are certain key elements that you need to have at your fingertips in order for you to design professional looking websites. So some of these are color, typography, layout, and so on. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the most important features in Divi. In fact, these are my 7 favorite features, and these are the best features that Divi has. So you could actually do with only these features when you're actually designing your website because they are that important. Now, before I begin, I'd like to remind you that if you buy Divi using my affiliate link, I will give you access to my web design formula course, a course that teaches you how to design professional looking websites from scratch. All you have to do is to buy Divi using the link below. And once you've done that, send me your receipt number on funnelstoincome.com. On the bottom right, there's a chat bubble. Click on that and then you can just forward me the proof that you've purchased using my affiliate link. And once I confirm that, I will give you access to the course. So without wasting a lot of time, let's start talking about all the best Divi features, and there are 7 of them. So we're going to start off with number 1. Now, the very first feature is the color manager. All right, so let's say you've gone through the process of choosing your color palette. So in this case, I'm using this website called coolers.co. So here are the colors that I'm going to be using for my website. And by the way, this is the right workflow. You want to first look for your colors. Once you found the colors that you need to use, then you bring them into Divi. So the color manager works by first inputting your initial colors first, and then the color manager is going to follow you wherever you go. Let me show you what I mean by that. So over here, you want to come to Divi theme options. Okay, so you want to add your colors. So these are the colors that come in by default with elegant themes. So you want to come over here, copy your color from here, come back, and then replace these colors. So all I'm doing here is copying and pasting all my colors. So once you add all your colors, you're going to notice, some amazing things here, because this is one of the things that I used to stress about before this color manager was introduced. Every single time you were designing, you had to go in and add your colors manually. And to be honest, that was really a pain. But this workflow now really makes designing websites with Divi really, really exciting. All right, so I've only got one color left now to add. So I'm going to come over here and paste my color like that. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I've got one color missing here, probably this one here that I haven't added. But you see, the beauty of this is if you've forgotten any colors, you can just go back in and add the colors that you haven't added in. So in fact, I've done that one. All right, so anyway, so let's say these are my colors. So normally at the end here, because sometimes you don't have the full colors, I can just add in white. Like that. And then for the last one here, we could just add a bit of gray. Right. So let's say this is my color palette and I'm really happy with this color palette. All I have to do now is to save changes. So as you start designing your website, you're going to see these colors now appear when you want to add a background, when you want to add text, and so on. Let me show you how that works. So if I come over here to pages, click on add new. So let's just call this page features, because we are going to showcase most of our items on this page. So now I'm going to click on use Divi builder. So this is going to take us into the actual builder, and then I'm going to start building. Okay, excellent. So let's say you want to start off by adding a background color. So notice what happens. If I come over here now, click on background, these are the colors that I added initially. So I can add my background color like that, save that. Now next, let's say I need to add, let's say, a text module. I can go in here and let's add a paragraph of text by just copying from Lorem 2 here. So there's my text. Now, notice what happens. If I come over here to design and click on text, you see my colors now are following me. So this is really, really cool. So let's say that is my color right there. I can save that. And let's say I need to also add another color here on my rows. I can click here on row settings, background, and then choose my color like that. Or I can use something like that. And once I'm happy with my colors, in fact, you know what? We might as well just go in and finalize this design. Let's give this some space, some padding. So let's go with 30 all around. Okay, so there we go. And let's just give this some rounded corners as well. So let's go with 6. All right. So as you can see here, it is very easy to use my colors. So let's say I need to change my colors at some point. I can always come over here, go into my design text, and I can change this color to whatever I want. So I can make it dark. I can choose a darker version here. Now you see, as I'm clicking on these colors here, I'm limited to these. Now here's where the color manager comes in. So if I click on these three little dots here, you notice that we have more colors. Now these colors here are chosen by an algorithm, and these colors are proven to work well with your color palette. So I can go in and use this dark version here, and you see it's not too far off. It actually works. Let's go back in. So over here, I can go with, let's say, this really dark. Let's go with these colors which are close to that dark color we used. So that one there could work. So you can see these colors here are automatically chosen by the system here, the Divi system, to give you colors that work well together. Now, this is a designer's dream because colors, can be very confusing when you're working with them, especially if you're not very good at choosing colors at random as you're designing your website. So this is the color manager. Let's move on to the next one. So the next one here is also very, very important because this has to do with email integration. So if you want to build a mailing list, it's very important to have all the integrations at your fingertips. So let me show you how this works. So if I come over here and add another section here. So let's say I need to add an email opt-in. I can just search for opt-in like that. So I'm going to go ahead and design this. The most important part here is to show you the integrations. So let's say you use MailPoet or MailChimp or even ConvertKit. To connect all this, all you have to do is to come over here to email account, right? You click on this drop down and look at how many integrations we have here. This is amazing. So almost guaranteed to find the one that you need here. So let's say you use ConvertKit. You can just select ConvertKit here. You click here on this drop down to select your list. But what I've noticed is sometimes when it doesn't come here, you just click on add, and then you want to add your account name, API key, and API secret. Now, once you've done that, it's going to now show you your lists over here that you want to link this form with. And every time someone subscribes, they're going to be connected to that particular list. So this is very good for email marketing. It's also very good for small businesses that want to generate leads, and having this integration is really, really huge. And now with this, now you can design this however you want, because now you have access to color, you can have access to images, you can add pretty much anything that you want here to really make this look very, very attractive. So this is why this is one of the best Divi features. All right, so let's move on to the next one. Now, the next one here is to do with typography. So let me show you what I mean by that. So I'm just going to add a new text module here. I'm going to select that. Right. So when it comes to typography, of course, you want to use different type of fonts as you're designing. So number one, the good thing here is you can use the Google fonts. So if I come over here, click on this drop down, we see all these fonts that we have here. And the really cool thing here is when we mouse over it, you can see here that it gives you a brief look into what this font is going to look like. So you can see here as I'm going through this, it's giving me an idea of what the font will look like. So let's say I select that one. I can also go into my font weights here and choose my font weight. So you can see here on the bottom that it is changing as I am adding all this. So I can increase my size here and so on. Now, here's the thing. Now, what makes this feature really powerful is if you come over here now on the font, you can see here we have this option to upload. So let's say you had your own specific fonts. You can come over here, give your font a name, and then you can drag it over here, or you can choose it from your computer where you've downloaded it to. So this means you can have custom fonts that work with your design. So maybe you could be working with a client or that has their own specific font that you need to use on your website. This is how you would add onto the site. All right, so this next feature here is also very, very powerful. This is to do with productivity. So this allows you to extend styles. Now, what I mean by that is, let's say you have a paragraph of text and you just want to change the font throughout that whole page or throughout that section to have that same font. You can use extend styles to achieve that. Let me show you how that works. So let's say over here, I have these three paragraphs. I've got one here on the top, one here, and one here. So let's say I want all my paragraphs to have this style that we have here. All I have to do is to right click on extend styles. Now this is going to ask me if I want to extend my styles on this page, which means it will affect everything, or I can choose this section or this row or this column. So we have different ways of choosing how we want to apply this. So in this case, let's say I want this to be applied here to the second paragraph. So I would use this section. So I want to come over here, click on extend, and notice that now this style here has been applied over here as well. Now let's do this one more time, but this time I'm going to choose page. So if I come over here to extend styles, at this time I'm just going to go for the whole page, click extend. Notice what happens. Now the one at the top here has also changed. So the reason why this feature is really powerful is you can use headings, you can use different instances of your designs and extend it pretty much throughout the whole page. So this doesn't only work with text, by the way, it works with colors, it works with so many things. So if I come over here as well and I right click, I can also say extend section styles. Now notice that. So I can say this page, and what you'll find is the whole page now has the same background as this top one here. So this is how you use extend styles. It makes your design process really easy, really fast. All right, let's move on to the next one. Now this one here again is more for a designer's dream, and this is fantastic, especially for those of you that use Photoshop. Let's go in and add a few images on our design here. So I'm going to come over here and let's just add an image module. I'm going to select that. So here's our image right here. I'm going to go into my library and choose an image to work with. So let's say, I go with this one, upload an image. Right. So the next feature here, it can be found on the design tab all the way down here to filters. Now here on the filters, this is where you can play around with all these instances. You can play around with the hue. Now notice what happens when I play around with the hue. And we also have saturation. So if I remove the saturation, now we are left with a black and white image. So we can adjust the brightness and the contrast as well. So notice that I'm adding my brightness, and I can also play around with my contrast here. So I can make it really contrasty like that by just adding a bit more. Just give this a bit more brightness like that. So as you can see, just by playing around with my saturation, brightness, and contrast, I've gone in and I've changed this to a black and white image. Now, usually you would have to go into Photoshop, make your adjustments in Photoshop, and then bring the image over to Divi. Of course, that takes a long time because the design process now has just been extended. So by having this feature over here, it is really awesome. So let's say you want to just pretty much bring everything back to where they were. You can just click over here, and now pretty much we are back to how things were. Now there's also other features here, so you can play around with the invert. Now you can see here, I don't know why you'd want to use that, but of course it is there. We also have the sepia tone, so you can go in and add this to your images as well. So this could be maybe a style that you're going with on your website, so you can go in and add that. Now we also have opacity here. So if you want to, play around with the opacity, you can bring it all the way down here and just show just a hint of the image here. And then maybe, let's say on hover, you want to really show this image. You can then come over here, click on hover, and then increase the opacity. So now when I hover over this, it's going to start off like that. And then when I hover over it, it's going to show this image right here. So this feature here, which is the effects feature, is also very important. So these image settings here are really cool. We also have blend modes, so you can also play around with the blend modes here. The screen, I mean, if you've used Photoshop, I mean, you will appreciate these. We also have blur, so we can make this image blurry if you wanted to. And then on hover, we can have it, look different on hover as well if you want to have it on two different states. And if you want to bring things back to how they were, just click on this little item here, and that brings things back. So pretty much this is the effects feature, which is really cool. All right, now let's move on to the next one. Now the next one here is also very fun to use. You can find this on the advanced tab, and this is called scroll effects. So let's say you want to build a website which has dynamic elements on it. This is where you can play around with the scroll effects. So here we have these different types. We have vertical motion, we have horizontal, we have fading in, fading out, and so on. So let's try this fading in, fading out. So I'm going to use it here. So to play around with this, you just need to enable it first, and then you want to make your adjustments. So it does take a bit of time to play around with it. So let's say here on the ending part, we don't want to see anything. You can see there as I'm scrolling, the image goes because the ending opacity is 0. Okay. So the starting opacity as well. If this page was long enough, the starting opacity will be 0, as you can see here. But in this case, I want to bring it up to say, let's say 34. And then as you scroll, the image comes to life. And then as I go towards the bottom, and then it goes away. Okay, so these are your scroll effects. You can adjust how much time you want the image to show in the middle of your scroll by playing around with this. I mean, if you bring it all the way down here, notice what happens. So if I come over here, you see the image going away faster. There we go. Okay, so that's because we don't have a long waiting period here on the middle. Now we can also use scale up and down. So if I click on this one here, I have to activate it first, and then I can say mid in the middle here, it's at 100%, but the ending scale needs to be, let's bring it down to about 60. And the starting here, let's start at 60 as well. Now, the really cool thing here is notice what happens. So we have the starting here at 60, and as I'm scrolling, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it gets smaller as I'm moving away from it. And again, you can also extend this if you want to have it in the middle of the screen for a much longer time. So there we go. If I scroll, it's going to get bigger, and then it starts getting smaller as I'm scrolling through the page. So these effects are really, really cool. You can use these pretty much on different sections of your website, but make sure your page has enough content for these features to show. But of course, you want to use this with caution because you don't want to add all these scroll effects all over your page because it makes it difficult for the visitor to go through your content. So use these in a subtle way, but professional way. All right, so the next feature I want to talk about, and this is the final one, this is the theme builder. All right, so I'm just going to save this and show you the theme builder. In fact, I've spoken about this so many times, but this is really, really powerful. So I'm going to come over here to my dashboard and I'm just going to discard and exit because I don't really need this anymore. So over here now, if I hover over Divi and go into the theme builder, this is where we get to design elements of our website to make it global, and we can also pinpoint and specify what we really want to make templates of. So here we can add a header, we can add a global body, we can add some footers. But the really cool thing is to add your footers, you can just come over here, build, or you can add from library, by the way. So this will save you a lot of time to design this. So let's say I come over here and I pretty like this footer. In fact, this one doesn't look nice, to be honest. Let's see what footers we have. Right, so this is where now you want to go in and pretty much look at different designs of footers and see which one you want to go with. So let's say I like this footer here. I can click on use this layout, and then all I have to do is to delete the elements that I don't need from this layout. So once I delete those, I'm left now with my footer, and that footer is going to be applied pretty much across my whole website. I'm going to show you in a moment how this works. It's really, really cool, and it's a time saver. All right, so here now, everything has been loaded. All I have to do now is to click on this pencil icon. I can go now into my builder. So in this builder now, it's pretty much your Divi builder. So you can delete items, you can add items, you can do pretty much everything you want. So let's start off by deleting stuff that we don't need. So I'm going to start off here with the section that needs to go, that needs to go, that needs to go. Right, so pretty much I'm getting rid of all the items that I don't need and then just remain with my footer. So that needs to go as well, and this is going to work as my footer. So again, let's get rid of this and that. Right, so let's say this is going to be my main footer for my website. All I have to do now is to save this. I'm going to close this. And because this is a global footer, this now has been applied across my whole website. Let me show you that. So I'm going to come over here and then I'm going to say visit site. And I can go to any page on my site now, and you're going to see that massive footer. There we go, right? And let's say I change it and I go to my courses. Again, you can see now that we have this massive footer. But the really cool thing about this feature is if I delete this here and save changes, and I come back over here and I refresh, You can see now my footer is gone, just like that. So what makes the Divi theme builder really powerful is the fact that you can go in here, change items globally, and it will just go in across your whole website and make those adjustments. So let's say that yellow footer wasn't really appealing for you, and maybe you're designing a website for a client and your client says, nope, I don't like yellow, change that color, we've changed our branding, it's now blue. You can just go in, change it on that one instance, which is right here, and the footer gets applied across your whole website. Now, you may be thinking, well, does this apply to the header, footer, and global body? No, it doesn't, because we can pretty much create templates here for all your blog posts, the blog itself, specific posts. You can also do this for archive pages. You can do this for projects, 404 pages, and so on. And if you have WooCommerce installed, or you have LearnDash or MemberPress, what happens is this theme builder is intelligent enough to see all these plugins that you've added, and you can create specific templates for those particular plugins, which makes this really, really, really powerful. So these are my 7 best features that Divi has to offer. All right, so tell me what your features are. What are your favorite features? Share them in the comments box below. I'll be happy to see those. And in fact, I may even do more videos about those features. All right, guys, that's all I have for you in today's video. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe and bell notification. By doing so, you'll be notified when I release new tutorials. Until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.